Welcome to the Nose with Nostradamus. How you doing, Rodney Bird? This is an episode is presented by the Married to Sports podcast. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just a little fired up. I was watching that game last night with Carolina and St. Fran, being the Carolina fan I am. I want to start here. Brock Purdy threw for three interceptions in the first half. One of them, the turnovers, was around the red zone. That was the key possession for Carolina. All right, early in that game, because ultimately we turned the ball right back over to them with a pick in the end zone. You got to play another down. You cannot make that read. Bryce Young threw for 448 yards last week, turned around, barely got 125 yards. He was missing guys left and right all night. He's got to. You can't have one bad game and followed up by a great game. You got to be consistent. And I was looking at his stats leading into this over his career. 2023, he was 59.8% percent completion with 2,877 yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Okay, not bad for a rookie. 73.7 QBR. Last year, 2024, he regressed a little bit if you look at the yards. 60.9%, so he picked up about 1.1%, but he threw 2,403 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 82 QBR. But this year, right now, going into the game, he was 62.7%, 2,131 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So he's right at his QBR from last year. But my question is this: why is the progression so minimal for him? If you're gonna be a serviceable to elite quarterback, you got to make the jump every year. It can't be a 1% increase on rate of return. These owners want Super Bowls. These owners want relevance, fans in the seats. If you're putting out a product that's not got fans in the seat, you're losing money. You're losing revenue. Think about it. It all starts with talent base. Ultimately, you know what? Carolina has done a good job addressing some free agent needs, like defense mainly, but ultimately, Caleb will. Bryce Young is not the answer at quarterback with these kind of numbers. Yes, I understand. We've talked about this before, Rook, but think about this. You know, it's very hard when everything goes the way it does about the receiving core. I don't care what receivers you put out there with him. If he's not going to read the play, go with the flow of the play, and if it's not open, throw it away. What are we getting here? That's the ultimate question. We're getting a bunch of mess that is causing our fans to really not know what direction this team is going. So, with that said, I look at the NFL draft. You got to look at a lot of this stuff. Any elite team hits on at least 5 draft picks in any given draft. 5 of 7 is the sign of an elite draft. Teams like the Eagles, the Chiefs, the even the Lions right now are hitting that mark. Why can't we get it right? Is it scouting? Is it evaluating the talent? Or is it we're just trying to stay with Bryce Young too long? Let's look
So,
at what Bryce Young
So I want to ask you this before you go on too far, and then you can go back to what you're saying.
All
So
right.
Bryce Young had a string of 6 games and then threw for 450 yards. Has he not shown you enough that he could be a serviceable quarterback?
Serviceable, yes, but quarterback number one, no. Not for a number one overall pick. I don't think so. I mean, when you look at how much he has progressed, right now, through week 13, it, he, he from last year, he's picked up 1.6% on the QBR. Yes, that's showing signs of growth, but when I watched that game last night, there were balls that should have never been thrown that he just totally missed the reads. You called it in one game, in one play, Brandon, where he had the guy up top and he threw it right across the middle toward no one. I mean, if you can't see that the guy's wide open, even if it's not your first read, why not go to it?
I mean, this kid's only been in 41 games, and here's my issue with the Carolina Panthers, and maybe you can address this. Is it really a Bryce Young issue or is it a team issue? Because no quarterback, not even Cam Newton or Jake Delhomme, was consistent in Carolina. They had good years. They all had a good year, but they were not consistent. They did not. It was constantly up and down. You see Baker getting with the Bucks. He's thriving now. They've had some injuries and stuff. The defense is long tooth. So what's going on with the Bucks right now? Yeah, some of it's on Baker. I watched him throw a couple picks that really shouldn't have been thrown.
I
But
think
you know,
I think
you see guys like Kyler Murray, and I think Bryce Young is better than Kyler Murray. I think you're looking at inconsistencies due to the Carolina Panthers. Would you not agree?
you know what. Some point I agree with you. I think that it, it's very hard to look at the team, but the organization has totally failed in some ways. Because you know what? Ultimately, sticking with one coach helps a quarterback develop. Ultimately, then switching coaches. Heck, look at Trevor Lawrence. Perfect example. Three coaches and his four coaches in his first 7 years, something like that. That's insane. I mean, everybody's going to want their own system, own way to read the field. I mean, and it still hampers him today. So I get what you're saying, but for how much we gave up to get Bryce Young is where I feel like it's time to move on.
No, I understand. I mean, he's in his third year.
Right,
I mean, you got one more year. Next year is when you're even thinking about extending him or not.
right. And
And
you know what? I'm of the belief I rather get deals done earlier than later because you know
right,
what? You've seen it with Micah Parsons and these other guys that when you wait for these other players to set the market, you're not going to get them on the cheap.
no, I agree. I would extend him now.
I don't. I would try to trade them before I extended them. I mean, honestly, what are we doing if we keep in guys that can't read the field that way? Because, like I say, I go back to how bad the misses were. They weren't even close enough for pass interference or anything. That's what I'm looking at. You know, we talk about Dak's inconsistencies there, but when he's healthy, he puts the ball right on the player to draw that pass interference, even if they don't catch the ball. Can't you agree with that?
I think he's better at it, but I'm not comparing Bryce Young to Dak Prescott.
I'm not either, no, but I'm saying the mental aspect of what I expect out of the coach, out of the player. That's all I'm doing. I'm saying he has gotten better with that, and that's the kind of quarterback you need because ultimately, if you can get the yards through penalty, you're still getting yards. That's my only point bringing Dak up.
Right, I'm with you. I'm with you on the penalty yards here, and I'm with you on the missed throws last night. But then I look at the coach, and I look at the organization, and I look at what you had going into this season and what you don't have now, right? Can we agree that Hunter Renfro is a uh, a big loss for you guys?
Hunter
Can we agree that uh, what was the other receiver that you guys got rid of?
Oh, Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah,
Can we
Adam
not?
Thielen was a big loss. I'm not going to deny it because he was a bigger target.
Right.
And
And both of those guys are veteran guys that would help out your young guys in the locker room, right?
right,
I think it would make Leggett a better receiver. You're not as high on Leggett as I am. I see the potential with Leggett. I see the potential with Bryce Young. I don't understand your hatred for Bryce Young.
I
I
don't have
feel
hate. I don't
I
have
feel
hate.
I feel I feel like Bryce Young is honestly handcuffed by his team and has actually done a great job of showing progress and getting better each snap. And that's what I look to see. Now, you did go from a 450-yard game to less than that, but then I look at the play calling. I look at the offensive line. I look at what really went on in that game, and I'm going, this is nuts.
I can see your point, but ultimately, when you've been with this coach 2 years, okay, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Jimmy Horn Jr. was the steal of the draft. I mean, he made these other receivers expendable. To be honest, because he's that Steve Smith type, game breaking speed, vertical receiver. But ultimately, Bryce, I don't care what coach you put with him. If he can't read the field, he can't read the field, and that's the main job of a quarterback.
It's hard to read the field when you got four guys in your face.
I don't disagree, and we need to address offensive line. I do see that as a weakness, and that I said I wanted improvement this year, and we have seen improvement. Yet, why I'm so angry about this game here? Because the Bucks went out and played the Rams and totally got destroyed. It was our time to get to the top of the division. Let's be real. We have to man up and play to improve, and that was the next logical step. Even if it was for 1 week, you hold that. You get what I'm saying? Give the kid, give the kid, young guys a taste of success, even if it is for 1 week.
Now, and again, I'm going to push this back on the coaches. Your coaches have regressed, so your team is going to regress.
I
Your
can see that.
GM handcuffed you. It's really hard to win in Carolina. Like Cam Newton was successful one time, had an MVP season, took him to the Super Bowl, got mollywopped by the Broncos, right?
Right?
Jake Delhomme, I mean, he didn't win a Super Bowl, did he? He didn't win a Super Bowl, right? They got beat.
No, he didn't.
Um, and so, like you got to look at the last. You got to look at Bryce Young's first few games last year, and then look at his last half and say, "Wow, you made progress." This year, you're seeing flashes of what would be a good quarterback, but you have a terrible O line, you have a terrible GM, you have a terrible coach, you have a terrible this and that. What are you supposed to do with that? Like,
And
what are you
what?
supposed to catch the ball too?
No, you're not. He's not. But you know what? Ultimately, that's the whole frustration. What are we going to do with this team? I mean, I think Dan Morgan's the right GM. He gets it. He's a student of the game. We've made some great moves under him. Scott Fitterer, the guy that was said when we drafted Young, did absolutely nothing. But ultimately, Dan has started putting the pieces together. But the owner needs to let the GM work and get the organization in place where we have the right personnel to get the best talent. B, I really like Canales as a coach. I think he's growing as a coach, but We need a better play caller. We need
Because
a
of how
better offensive coordinator.
much you guys gave up, would you say that it's fair to say that you can't really afford to miss on Bryce Young?
Exactly, because get this, the Bears traded the 23 number one pick overall. The Panthers traded number 9, 61 overall of the 24 draft. No, 61 overall in that draft. 2024 number one overall pick. And the 25 number 39 and DJ Moore.
If you're the
And just
GM, what do you do right now? What do you do with Bryce Young right now? If you're the GM,
if I'm the GM, I'm cutting my losses. I'm at least getting some capital for him, even if it ain't much. I mean, when the Bears realized Justin Fields wasn't the answer, they traded him to the Steelers for a 6th or 7th round pick. I mean, you're still getting some capital. Ain't great capital on return, but think about it. Bryce, you might be able, because if you trade him now, 2 years of control, you probably gonna can get at least a 3rd or 4th round. And that's still some great talent in there. Heck, look at Bryce Purdy. He was Mr. Irrelevant. You can find a good quarterback anywhere in the draft. The problem is these guys are so wanting the first overall guy, and it's causing them a lot of draft capital, really, because they think they're getting a guaranteed hit, and they're not.
I'm going to completely disagree with you. Um, I think you do go draft a quarterback this year. I think you get a guy in a late round, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, a guy that you really think you can like. I don't want a project, right? I want a guy that's overlooked. I want a guy that when I turn the film on, I'm like, man, he's got it. He needs this, this, and this, and I can provide this, this, and this.
Like a Will
Right?
Howard,
Sure.
O'Rourke in San Fran.
Sure. I was really high on Drake May and Jackson Dart. Look how they turned out.
Yeah, and another
Um,
one, Kyle McCord. I mean, he's going to develop in Philadelphia. He's got time to sit and learn. I mean, because he's got Jalen Hurts. You know, at
but,
some point,
but here's let me get to where I'm going with this. I like Bryce Young. He's shown me enough. Honest to God. I think that if he had a coach that was actually worth something, I think he could be a player. I tell Bryce Young he has one more year. And I tell Canales, you have one more year. Because when I trade Bryce Young, you're going with it.
I can see that. I
And
think I
then
would take
I'm gonna
that
give me a
stand.
young quarterback. I'm gonna give me a young quarterback like a Brock Purdy or somebody in the draft that I can work with. That's gonna be a backup, but that's gonna push Bryce Young. And then I'm gonna push my OC and I'm gonna push my head coach to be the coaches that they need to be in order to get this kid developed. Because you put the last 6 games of last season together with that 450 yard, there's enough video evidence that hey, you know what? With the right coordinator, with the right offense, with the right team, this kid could be something. Why would you let another Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield leave your organization? Why would you not stop the bleeding and try to get back on track?
With coaching around him. But there again, I'm just tired of switching coaches and starting over with the same quarterback because ultimately, you guys every time you get a new coach, you're training them a different way. How many more things? How many more times does he have to really learn and start over before he
On the
becomes?
flip side of that, how many quarterbacks are you going to burn through?
That's a good point. It works both ways, Brandon.
That's my point. Why especially when you're young in your career. You're still in your rookie contract, by the way, right?
Right?
You're going into your 4th year where we're going to extend you. right? Extend you or not. Take that time to find out. And you, when I, as a GM, I'm going to be able to negotiate with this player. Hey, look, or even your agent, even if you're David Mulugeta, I'm not paying that. You want your client to walk? See ya. Bryce Young doesn't hold that power,
I
right?
think, right. I mean, I think a good contract, if we decided to keep him, was 3 year, $18.5 million per year with performance bonuses based on the season.
Bryce Young deserves a Brock Purdy deal.
I mean,
I'm not going to blame Bryce Young for the organization.
I can respect that, but in all due respect, all right, I would the max I would go is probably 25 million a year, 30 million a year for Bryce Young.
I like
But
that.
it
I
would
think
be
he needs to be up in like the 40, 45 because of what the market is. That's still
but
bottom tier.
that's a hard pill to swallow when you're looking at what we gave up for him.
Now,
I'm
when you're looking at how much the NFL actually makes and how much the salary cap is and how much uh, he's making less than every other quarterback. I mean, it's not. It's more next man up to get paid more so it is next man up to play, and
at
that's
that
just the way
point
that it
I
is.
can agree with that.
So I just don't think Bryce Young holds a whole lot of power, but I think you need to boost him up. I think you need to get him to that next level. I think you need to get Canales and um, the offensive coordinator and Bryce Young somebody to compete with. Let them know, hey man, your seat's hot. It's time to go. It's time to coach and see
You're
what
right.
happens. Because I think you really could. I think you guys really do have something in Carolina. I know you guys are leaning more in the middle of your between your floor and ceiling, which is really good. Believe it or not, you guys are playing a lot better than I thought you would, losing those two guys before the season.
I
And so I
don't
think you have to look at that in retrospect as well.
I don't disagree, but the only thing I have against Bryce Young is the inconsistency, and whether it's on the offensive line or a defensive line or take receivers, you know what? Being able to live through to the next play is the biggest step in development, and sometimes I don't think he's showing it, and that's the part I'm angry about.
Would you agree that for everything that happens, there's a why?
I can,
Like this is happening because of this. This happened because of this.
yeah, like the false cause and effect narrative. Yeah,
Right. Exactly. So is why is Bryce Young so inconsistent? Is I think the question we need to get down to. And for me, and I'm not saying that we're going to agree because clearly we take different sides on this. But I think you've got to get down to the why. And I think when you look at the why, I think you got to look at the coaching and the coaching carousel that Carolina's been on, the GM carousel that they've been on, the player trades. I mean, you're not really keeping a nucleus together. And I think that's something that you got to look at and find out the why to. And I think when you have issues like that in your locker room, guys getting traded, guys in and out, um, coaches in and out, quarterbacks in and out, it hurts what you're trying to build. It really tells me that you don't know where you want to go. You can say you want to go win a Super Bowl, but you're telling me either you don't know how to get there or you don't know what you want.
exactly, and that's the frustration part. And I guess I'm taking on Bryce Young because I see so much potential. Although one thing I don't like my quarterbacks being is short, and he's because it's hard to see over offensive line sometimes. Let's be real.
I'm not saying that Drew Brees. I'm not saying that Bryce Young is Drew Brees, but I'm saying that Bryce Young is athletic enough that I do think he could be better than Jordan Love.
Right now, and I don't know where I would put him right now. I I would personally I'd take Mac Jones over him.
I'm going to be real. There's two quarterbacks that I hope leave their situation. I'm hoping Bryce Young leaves the Panthers. I'm hoping you guys make a mistake again. And I'm hoping the Browns make a mistake by letting go of Shador. and I hope they go to a different organization, and I hope they thrive because I've seen what I've seen on film, and they've got it. It's just not that craft has not been honed in because they're coaches. They're being handcuffed by their coaches, and that's not fair to a player.
It's not fair to a player, but
It's not fair
also,
for a player to ask for all the money if they're not getting if they're getting handcuffed. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
but
your stats aren't going to say, "Hey, I deserve this," but you're also not paying me for the BS you're putting me through. You know what I mean?
I get it, but I also see the opposite side. If the if the player's not putting together what the coach is saying either, that's on the player because you know what? Ultimately, what do you tell your players when they got questions and come at you, like your wife? Hey, go talk to your coach about that. Go talk to your position coach. I mean, is it the quarterback coach that's not helping them develop as well either? I mean, that's their job.
Part of it's on the quarterback coach. A lot of it's on the offensive coordinator. Part of it's on the head coach, right?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm
It's
happy
not a
with.
film thing. It would be different with Bryce Young if it was a film thing. It's not an IQ thing. It would be different if it was an IQ thing. It would be one thing if it was an athletic thing, but it's not an athletic thing. You're athletic enough. Your stats could be better. Your team could be a lot better. Your coach could be a lot better. And I think it's unfair for Bryce Young to be in his situation and not take a chance on, especially after you gave up that much for him. Like you paid that much, you should want to try to make it work. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
I don't understand either. That's what my frustration.
I
That
think if you guys were to put down a nucleus and keep a nucleus together, because if you look at one of the things that, um, let's look at Dallas, right? I know they didn't win a Super Bowl, but what they did go 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. The reason being, running back, quarterback, receivers, DBs, linebackers, right? Had some young guys, but a lot of them were vets, right? A veteran O line, right?
I agree.
Now, let's go to Kansas City Chiefs, who actually do win Super Bowls quite often, right? Patrick
Right.
Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, uh, Chris Jones, right? Kept the nucleus, right, of everything together. And so they were able to go on an incredible run. And when you're able to do that and you're able to coach that, right, and you don't have GMs panicking, oh my goodness, here we go again. You can actually build something, but you build a wall brick by brick. You don't just set a wall down.
I agree. And to your point, New England Patriots, look at what they did. They got their quarterback, then they started building the nucleus. They went out and got a tackle from LSU. I forget his name, but that was one of the key cornerstones. They were building through the draft and free agency, and they kept everybody young. And they went out and got one of the better head coaches in the league, Mike Vrabel. And look where they are now, 10-2.
Right. Next year, if you guys do that, I think you guys have a legitimate chance. Keep all your young
I
guys,
agree.
everybody that's on a rookie contract, right? Don't get crazy and trade everybody like you did last year. Don't panic, Carolina. Okay? Just relax. Let this nucleus, coach and quarterback, and everybody grow. But let them know, hey, look, this is a win now league. You got one more year. We'll chalk this year up as a loss. Next year, you better go out and prove it.
Well, for me, as
And I
long
think you
as
guys can still go on a run. You guys aren't out. You guys can still go on a run. In fact, with the way Tampa is right now, there's a chance you guys still win the division, which is
right,
ultimately the goal anyway. So if Bryce
it's
Young wins you
ultimately the
the
goal.
division, is
After
that not enough for you?
it is, but this game here was very important in that goal because look at how LA destroyed Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. You know, if you had to really take control of that division, that was the game. This game was a key step to get you to that next level because it was the game right after.
Where did you finish last year in the division?
Third,
Third. Where are you guys now?
Second. So it's an improvement.
Wow. How many games are you behind?
Like at least one right now. Well, no, half a game.
I think you're half a game behind.
Yeah.
Somebody can double check me. You might be one game behind or half a game behind. Now, would you not
Half a
agree that
game to
Baker
one
Mayfield?
game, I
Would
believe.
you not agree that Baker Mayfield being out this week is devastating for Tampa?
It is.
Now, I know they said it's just a sprain, but he might miss. If you land on that, it depends on how sore he is. I mean, for Baker to miss, he gotta be hurting, right? So your back end of the season is not horrible.
It's not horrible, but I just worry about us going on like we went on a 6 game win streak to end the season last year. I don't want to go on that same slide.
But last year you couldn't sniff the butthole of the playoffs, right?
Right.
Now you guys are actually sniffing the playoffs.
I see
You
that.
realize you have the head to head over Dallas. So if Dallas sneaks this out and it comes down to Carolina and Dallas, Carolina makes it.
Exactly.
And then if you guys win the division, you automatically make it. Then it's between the Bucks and Dallas.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Like you
I
guys aren't
see.
out. So for you to be as hard as you are on Bryce Young and you guys to be in the position that you're in, I'm really it's really kind of mind blowing since you've seen nothing but progress from this kid.
I guess the progress we have been so used to seeing, like year one progress right there, year two the sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it, and then three, boom, and we haven't really seen that take off.
It
We've seen
wasn't in
two.
leaps and bounds, but you are in a position where you're sniffing the playoffs. You got to
I
give that
agree.
as a testament to your quarterback
It's a testament to the
and your run
quarterback.
game. I mean, when you got a Rigo Dowdle breaking 200 yards, that helps. Don't get me wrong.
It does, and our but I guess I guess the expectation it was coming into year three, cutting down some of the interceptions and the missing the bad wide open player
I guess this
or
is the
the
difference between you and me
misread.
when it
I
comes to Bryce Young and Shador Sanders. Uh, and this is not a dig at either one of those quarterbacks, but I'm not a fan. If that makes any sense.
yeah.
Like I barely watched any of you in college, right? I watched a
Right.
couple games in Colorado. They lost both times I watched them. Wasn't impressed by Shador, but I've seen some things that I did like. Right, I saw a bad O line. I saw a kid that held on to the ball too long. Bryce Young in Alabama, thought he did okay. Didn't think he was great. Thought he could be better. Thought he could be worse. And then I see him in Carolina, and I see progress, and I see progress, and I see progress, and I'm like, man, Carolina's doing something. And I told you Carolina was going to do something this year going into the season.
Right.
So I don't understand why you're so hard on a kid that's done everything that you've asked of him, which is show you progress through the first 4 years. And you're not even 4 years in yet.
I guess it in looking at things the way I see things, like he can throw one of the most beautiful balls sometimes. But then when you look at it, the next play, the read, like that play, we going back to that play at the top of the route where you had the guy for the touchdown, right? You know what? He came back and threw it in the middle of the field to nowhere. That's the frustration. I mean, it's like he's not seeing the field. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. But I don't agree with it.
Well, we always seem
I think, no, we don't always see eye to eye. I think you are talking with your emotions more than you're talking with what you see. And And I know you're close to the Carolina Panthers. I'm close to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think when we talk about our teams, I think we can talk about with more passion. And I think we can also be more critical because it's not what we want to see. But at the end of the day, you know, he's done exactly what Drake May and Jaden Daniels and everybody else has done, which is come out and play the game
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
and make progress. Now, did he make the progress of those guys? No, absolutely not. And I'm not saying that. But I'm
And
saying he came out his rookie year and has continued to grow little by little.
I think right there is my big disappointment is, you know what, the light switch came on for these guys, Jaden Daniels and all of them.
But here's the problem, and this is why I think that you're looking at it wrong, is you've got Jaden Daniels with Dan Campbell. Or no, not Dan Campbell, I'm sorry, Dan Quinn. You have Drake May with Mike Vrabel in a really good Patriots organization. You have who else did I say? What other young quarterback did I say? Caleb Williams is now with a really good offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson, who's are turning out to be quite the head coach.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between these guys are thriving in a situation where Bryce Young is having to overcome a situation.
I can see that.
So, well, guys, this has been the end of our time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is the Nose with NOSEtradamus, Rodney Bird. Follow him on TikTok at Hot Rods Eye on Sports. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe.